Hi friends, I'm Chelsea and I'm here with my summer TBR. I feel like I haven't filmed a video in a while and this feels weird, so bear with me. You may have seen my community post about where I've been lately, but in case you didn't see it, I got sick towards the end of May and then my husband and I went out west on vacation and then we've been back for almost a week, but I feel like I'm still kind of catching up on life, and so here we are filming a video finally. I have missed it, but I just have been really busy and not really prioritizing filming videos. But hopefully I can get back into a bit of a routine with it. And I'm really excited to pick my summer TBR. I have not been doing monthly TBRs just because I've felt a little burned out and have just wanted to mood read, and I've really been loving that. I did make a spring TBR, but I kind of failed at that. I think I read like 3 to 4 out of the 9 books on that list, so not super great, but we will try to make a summer TBR and see how many of the books I end up reading. I do pretty much have the rest of my month of June lined up as far as reads, a couple buddy reads, a couple audiobooks I want to listen to, so most of this will be for July and August. So I think I'm going to pick 8 prompts from my old TBR jar. I will be finally doing this again because I've missed it, and then I will pick 1 from my series jar, so that'll be 9 books for July and August, which will hopefully still leave me some room for other things like book clubs and buddy reads and just mood reading. So yeah, I think I'm just going to jump in and pick my first one, which will be from the series jar. I'm in the middle of a lot of series right now. I would like to make progress on those, so I'm just going to pick one and see if it's one that I'm actually in the mood to read, because some of them might not feel very summery, but we shall see. I have my TBR cart here, and I also have a list of my digital like audiobook and library TBR, so I'm going to try to keep those in mind. But first, my series. And we have Ernest Cunningham. Okay, it took me a second to even know what that was. I think that is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. That's it. And so I think the second book is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. I honestly don't remember. I think that came out last year. I gotta look into this because I don't know about this one. Okay, yes, so the second book in this series is Everyone on This Train is a Suspect. It came out last year. I don't know if it continues with the same characters from the first book or if it's completely different. I honestly don't know, and I don't know if I'm really feeling this one right now. So great start here. I don't own it, so it would have to be from the library. So it is available as an audiobook from the library. I do remember the first book was really fun as an audiobook because it kind of breaks the fourth wall, it's a little meta, and just an entertaining narrator. So I'm wondering if it's the same narrator as the first book. I don't really know who that was, so there's no way to figure that out, but I could borrow it from the library. Do I want to do that though? That is the question. But the jar has chosen for me. It says it's a locked room train murder mystery, and so that sounds quite fun. I haven't been reading as many mystery thriller type books lately, so I'm just trying to spin this and make it sound more appealing to me. So that'll be the first one. Again, no guarantees on any of my TBR, which I know is kind of annoying. These are just general books that I can pick from, and hopefully I will actually do that. So let's go to the TBR jar now. I'm going to pick 8 prompts, I think, and then yeah, we'll just see where this leads us. I think I did add a couple new prompts and it's pretty full, so hopefully we get some good ones. Okay, first prompt. This is exciting. I haven't done this in quite some time. Okay, we have a litfic, literary fiction, which is good because I have really been enjoying literary fiction and I've been trying to read more of it this year. The last one I read, I didn't love very much. Maybe I'll just wait and tell you what that is in my next wrap-up or my wrap-up after that. I don't know. It's actually the first book I read this month, so you'll have to wait. Anyway, that was a lot. I need to find a good litfic that I really like. Looking at the TBR cart here, okay, not gonna lie, the one that definitely is calling to me the most, without even thinking about it, is Fredrik Backman's new release. I had to go pick it up pretty soon after it came out. This just screams summer, first of all. It's like these people in a pool. I don't really know much about it besides it being like friendship focused. Something about like a painting, I don't even need to know because he's an auto-buy, auto-read author for me. So let me look really quick, but this is probably going to win, let's be real. I do have a backlist book from him. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry, which I also do want to read. And I also have Britt Marie Was Here. So really any Fredrik Backman would be a win for this category. But I definitely want to read his newest book. I think most of my Litfic TBR is on this shelf up here that you can't see, so I'm just going to take a quick little peek here. Okay, I'm not really going to look because this is something I really want to read, and so I want to put books on my TBR that I'm more likely to read, so it's not just books that I don't actually want to pick up, and I really do want to read this. So my first one will be My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I'm not going to read the whole synopsis here, but this says, Frederick Bachman's signature charm, humor, and attention to the poignant details of everyday life are on full display in this funny, moving novel. His most heartfelt and personal tale yet, My Friends is a stunning testament to the transformative, timeless power of art and friendship. I am all for that. Can't wait to check it out. We're off to a good start here, and I'm also trying to think of the reading challenges I'm doing. Gotta say, I haven't been putting a lot of thought into those. We have the buzzword challenge, title, and cover challenges, which I'm doing okay on. Ellen Maid's diversity book bingo, I need to be a little more intentional on some of those, so try to think about those as I'm picking books as well. So prompt number 2, book that could make me cry. Well, probably the last book I just picked, My Friends, but we have already chosen that, so let's think about this one real quick. I do have Promise Me Sunshine from the library. It's probably almost due, honestly, so I might not even have time to read this, but I've heard that this is kind of an emotional romance. I think the main character lost her best friend to cancer, and she's dealing with grief, and there's a lot of different things going on in both the main characters' lives, so potentially could make me cry, but I might have to return this really soon, honestly. I'm going to turn this card over because there's a lot of books stacked in the back as well. It's honestly getting a little out of control. It's been out of control, but even more so now. I feel like historical fiction is always likely to make me cry. I do have a good amount of historical fiction on the back here. One that I have on my 25 and 25, I think, that I haven't thought much about as well, is The Kite Runner, and I've heard that this is definitely a tearjerker, so that is an option. Again, I have kind of my Litfic, historical fic books up there that those are more likely to make me cry. And I also have some on my audiobook TBR, like Homeseeking, and I don't remember the author's name, but I think that one definitely could make me cry. I am trying to read a historical fiction book this month because I think it's the historical fiction readathon, or there's probably some other name for it. I watched Ellen's video about it, and she was talking about different historical fiction books, and so I might read Homeseeking for that, or Junie, which is another newer release, but this could also fit into that. Maybe. Actually, I don't know what time period this takes place in. So I think I will actually pick one of those 2 audiobooks because they're historical fiction and I have them as audiobooks on my app that I use. So I'm going to pick Homeseeking for this one. I need to figure out who the author is real quick. 1 second. Okay, so Homeseeking is by Carissa Chen. It came out at the beginning of this year, and I know Shuba read it and really loved it, and I've been wanting to read it. I'm hoping to get it from the library as well. This says, an epic and intimate tale of one couple across 60 years as world events pull them together and apart, illuminating the Chinese diaspora and exploring what it means to find home far from your homeland. And this is great for the diversity book bingo as well, because it obviously takes place a little bit in China, and then talking about immigration and just all of those issues throughout the years. And at the end here, this says, at once epic and intimate, Homeseeking is a story of family, sacrifice, and loyalty, and of the power of love to endure beyond distance, beyond time. So a historical fiction with romance will probably make me cry, and I am very excited to read this one. So that will be my second TBR jar pick. Okay, book number 3. It's always hard to keep up with what number I'm on. Okay. Number 3 is Gifted by Someone. Okay, I gotta think about that one as well. Okay, I think I found one that I'm excited to read, which is a good sign. And so this was gifted to me by my in-laws, I believe, for Christmas. And this is The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. This is a, I think, adult murder mystery, if not just a YA. I'm not sure, but it's the same author as the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, which I really liked. That's definitely young adult. Let's see, this features an 18-year-old. So is that young adult or adult? I don't know. But the point of that is that this is a murder mystery, and summer always feels like kind of a fun time for a fast-paced mystery. It looks kind of thick. Okay, yeah, it's like 400 pages, which isn't bad. I'm sure it'll read quickly, and I've heard really good things about this one. I'll just read a very quick little blurb or synopsis here. 18-year-old Belle has lived her whole life in the shadow of her mom's mysterious disappearance. 16 years ago, Rachel Price vanished, and young Belle was the only witness, but she has no memory of it. Rachel is is gone, long presumed dead, and Belle wishes everyone would just move on. And then there's like a true crime documentary about it. And then her mom reappears, hence the title. And then, yeah, she has a really unbelievable story. Her daughter Belle isn't sure if it's real. So trying to figure out the truth of what's happening, uncovering secrets about her family and whatnot. So sounds really good, and I'm very excited to read this. This is so fun. I'm so glad that I'm doing this again. I have missed the TBR jar, even though I have enjoyed mood reading as well. There's just something so fun about picking the prompts out, and I hope I will actually read these books. So anyway, here's number 4. This is secondhand. Okay, well that's really easy because pretty much all of my books are secondhand, so that's kind of like a free pick. Love that. Yeah, it kind of just depends on what I'm in the mood for, I guess. And I do have some newer books up here, but mostly from like Goodwill and library sales and other used bookstores and whatnot. So, Heartless Hunter, really been wanting to read that. You can't see that. There you go. I have been in a fantasy romance mood lately, so that's a good option. Alone with You in the Ether, I found at Goodwill for $2 or $3 maybe, but definitely want to read that. Vicious, I actually am going to read in July as a buddy read, and I found it at the library, so I could pick that. Scythe, I've really been wanting to read, and I think I got that from Pango Books or something. I could talk to you about where all these books came from, and that would probably not be very exciting, but the point is, a lot of secondhand books here. What am I in the mood for? That is the question, and that could change in 5 minutes, so I do not know. This prompt is almost too open-ended and overwhelming because I have so many books to choose from, so I'm just going to go with my gut, I guess, and pick Heartless Hunter, because if you remember my quick to judge video, I think this was one of them, and I was definitely intrigued by it. It didn't win, but it was up there. So I do want to read this, and I know this is book 1 in a duology, and so if I really like it, I can read the second book and complete a series fairly quickly, so that's always good. I'm not going to really read much about this because I read the first paragraph or so, but it's basically like an enemies to lovers witch hunter situation. It's been blowing up on the internet, so I have to see if I like it or if it just feels like another fantasy romance and doesn't stick out at all. Hopefully I will love it. So that will be my secondhand pick. I did order this from Pango Books, which is like a used book app / website, I guess. Okay, number 5. We are halfway through now, and I do need to remember my audiobooks because I won't be reading every single book in physical format. Okay, this big yellow one is coming to me. Okay, favorite color on the cover, which is funny because my favorite color is blue, and Heartless Hunter and My Friends and Homeseeking are all blue, so we have a very blue theme, which feels perfect for summer. So yeah, I have to look for another blue cover. Gotta think about these audiobooks before I move on to everything else. So I know Taylor Jenkins Reid's, that feels weird. Her newest book came out, Atmosphere, very much a blue cover. I don't own it yet, and I'm on the waiting list for the book and the audiobook from my library, so I don't know if I'll get it by the end of summer, but it is blue. And then I don't know if The Knight and the Moth counts as blue because it kind of has more gray vibes, but I'm also waiting for that one. Really excited to read that. None of my other audiobook / digital TBR really has a really blue cover, so going back to this, I did mention Alone with You in the Ether. I do love that shade of blue, so potential, and it's quite short. I think it's like 300 pages. Yeah, it's just over 250 pages actually. We have, okay, I do love blue, but I also love like this shade of green in particular, and I really want to read this book, so it could count. It's like blue-green, right? Okay, I had to get up again and check some other books because I have a lot of books scattered in this general area. I found one that is probably my most strong contender, if I'm being honest, and this is The Teller of Small Fortunes. I love all the colors on this cover, and on the back too. It's just like my favorite shade of blue, like that deep, rich royal blue, but I also love like the yellows and the purples and green and all that. There's also a cat, so that's a win, and this is a cozy fantasy. This says a wandering fortune teller finds an unexpected family in this warm and wonderful debut fantasy. Tao is an immigrant fortune teller traveling between villages with just her trusty mule for company. She tells only small fortunes. Not going to read the whole thing, but all that to say, definitely want to read this. So very strong contender. I also picked up Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. This one's been on my list for a while. That is a potential. And then, like I said, we have these two. And I don't know, I want to read all of these, but I think if we're going with my favorite color, then this one definitely has to win out. And yeah, I really want to read this. I feel like cozy fantasy, it works for any time of the year, let's be honest, but summer feels like a good time. And so yeah, definitely excited to add this to my TBR. So far, my physical stack is all hardcovers, which is funny because I prefer reading paperbacks, but here we are with all hardcovers. Anyway, we're at number 6 now. It's going by fast as always. Okay, flowers on the cover. We are going very much for what's on the cover, so that's interesting. Let's see, I'm looking back at these. No flowers here. No flowers here. No flowers here. So I'm going to put all these back. At this point now, it's kind of what I'm in the mood for because I feel like a lot of books I own have flowers on the cover. And so again, I'm going to need to do a little search here. This is a lot of moving around and looking for books. Okay, so I have a couple options here as usual. I have 2 from my audiobook TBR and then 1 from my physical TBR. So one of them that has flowers on the cover is Junie by Erin. Man, I just looked this up and I already forgot. Erin Crosby something. Erin Crosby Eckstein. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I have the audiobook for this and it sounds really good. Maybe I'm biased because my daughter's name is Juniper and we call her Junie, but still, I do want to read this. This is a kind of historical fiction, I believe, with some magical realism elements. It's set in the Civil War, I believe, or maybe just before the Civil War. The main character, Junie, has spent her life on a plantation in Alabama, and she is consumed with grief over the sudden death of her older sister, commits a desperate act that rouses Minnie's spirit from the grave, and then other stuff. So yeah, maybe some kind of paranormal elements or magical realism, like I said. And then I also have The River Has Roots by, man, I'm so bad with these authors' names. Amal El-Matar or something. The same person who was one of the authors for This Is How You Lose the Time War. My memory is just truly terrible. So yeah, The River Has Roots by Amal El-Motar. I believe this is kind of a short story, or maybe more like novella. It's a shorter book, and I've heard the audiobook is really good, that there's like singing in it, which is kind of interesting, but I think this is more of like a fantasy set in like fairy, and I love a good fairy story, so definitely interested in that. And then I also have Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen, who is a local author to the Western North Carolina region. And I think this is just kind of cozy fantasy with very much like sisterhood themes. Yeah, just kind of a magical, enchanting time. And so, I don't know. I do have like 4 books, like physical books so far, and 2 audiobooks. So it might be good to pick an audiobook, I think, potentially. And so I do want to read this for sure, but I think I'm going to pick Junie because I really do want to listen to that. And I'm hoping that I will also get the physical book from the library, but if not, I'll at least have the audiobook. And so, yeah, I'm very intrigued. I think that is also kind of a newer release. I think it came out earlier this year. So yeah, Junie will be my flowers on the cover book. Okay, so 2 more books, 2 more prompts, and I have 2. Throw this back in. Okay, book my husband picked. Well, he is at work right now, so, but picked, that implies he picked in the past, which means he bought it for me, maybe? It's kind of a weird way to word that. I don't know, it's kind of a weird one. I don't know if I have anything that matches with that, and I don't really want to wait for him to get back to me, so I'm just going to pick another prompt. They don't always work, you know, and that's okay. Okay, this is number 7, I think. Author or book I'm intimidated by. So that's fun. Nice, light summer reading. Facing my fears. Okay, quick drink break. Author or book I'm intimidated by. Every time I look at Demon Copperhead and I think, one day I will read you. I also have The Count of Monte Cristo that's kind of staring at me from my shelf because it's on my 25 and 25. And I have considered starting it this summer and just kind of like slowly working my way through it. So that definitely counts as a book I'm intimidated by. Honestly, most of my classics shelf would count for that prompt. And I'm just considering if I want to do it or not because I do really want to read it. But am I ready to take the plunge, you know? So pretty much I'm just looking at all the thick books on my TBR like Pachinko, Beneath a Scarlet Sky, Demon Copperhead, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, Wind and Truth, all the big thick ones, and this one is probably the thickest of all of them. Maybe not more than Wind and Truth, but yeah, this one is like 1,100 pages. I think I am gonna do it though. The thing is, I will try to start it, but I won't finish it over the summertime. I think I will just start reading through it and take my time with it. Just try to pace myself and not expect to finish a book this thick within a month or even 2 months. Just try to start it because I think I would like to for sure. And if I don't do it now, I might just keep pushing it off. So it's good that I got that prompt because it's been in the back of my head. I think it's finally time to at least open the pages and see what I think. And so this is obviously a very popular classic. There's a movie that I have watched and I liked it. Otherwise, I'm not super familiar with the story. I know it's like kind of a revenge story and just this epic sweeping plot and character study. And I'm not really going to go into it. There's not even a synopsis in this version. I'm just going to put this on the TBR and hope that it motivates me to start reading it at some point. It's funny because it's yet another hardcover. We have no paperbacks on this TBR, but that's okay. We are down to the last prompt and I'll probably make this fit with an audiobook if I can, since we have like 5 physical books here. It's not too bad though, since it's split over like 2.5 months. And okay, the last one is an award-winning book. Okay, so maybe not any of my audiobooks because they're on the newer side and probably haven't won any awards yet. I'm gonna have to do some searching here a little bit. Okay, that took longer than I thought. It's kind of hard to know what books have won awards without doing an extensive Google search, so I'm just going off of what's on the books here. I have found a couple that could potentially qualify. This one says National Book Award finalist. I don't think that means it won, so maybe that's a bit of a stretch. I have really been wanting to read Station 11. I've been enjoying kind of dystopian post-apocalyptic literature lately, and I definitely want to get into this author's works. This copy's kind of beat up though. I don't know how well I'll be able to read out of it. I don't know if this counts because it's a finalist and not a winner. And then this is Hamnet, and this says the New York Times Book Review 10 Best Books of 2020. So again, I don't know if that means it's an award winner. This does say winner of the Women's Prize for Fiction and finalists and longlisted for some other ones. So that definitely seems promising. This is set in England in the 1580s or 1580, and it's about the plague and Black Death and some pleasant stuff like that. And then Scythe, I mentioned, this says Michael something award for excellence in young adult literature. So some kind of award. Definitely want to read this. Again, kind of a dystopian feel. And we have another kind of dystopian feel. So clearly I am in the mood for that genre. And this one I've really been wanting to read. So the 5th season, this says winner of the Hugo Award. So that's pretty clear. This one has really been high on my list for a while, and I think I'm finally ready to read it. I kind of was putting it off for a little bit because I didn't want really any heavy reads, but this one's definitely calling to me. I think it's between these two, and I don't know because they're such good choices, but I think it's time to read the 5th season, and I know there's a couple of you who potentially want to read it as well, and so we can talk about a potential buddy read if you're in the mood for this as well. This is the first in the Broken Earth trilogy, and it says, "This is the way the world ends for the last time. It starts with the great red rift across the heart of the world's sole continent, spewing ash that blots out the sun. It starts with death, with a murdered son and a missing daughter. It starts with betrayal and long dormant wounds rising up to fester. This is the stillness, a land familiar with catastrophe, where the power of the earth is wielded as a weapon and where there is no mercy." I think it does have some fantasy elements as well, but obviously very much dystopian, post-apocalyptic. I never say that word right. And yeah, I can't wait to read this. We have a paperback as well. Love to see it. And that concludes my summer TBR. And of course, there are other books I want to read. I do have some buddy reads, like I mentioned, Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and I'll be reading the last book in the Mistborn trilogy, and then other books that I can't think of at this moment. But let's do a recap of my summer TBR. So for a lit fic, we have My Friends by Frederick Bachman. For a book that could make me cry, we have Homeseeking by Carissa Chen. For Gifted by Someone, we have The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. For Secondhand, we have Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. probably not how you say that. For favorite color on the cover, we have The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong. For flowers on the cover, we have Junie by Erin Crosby Eckstein. For an author / book that I'm intimidated by, we have none other than The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. For For an award-winning book, we have The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. And for my series jar prompt, we have Everyone on This Train is a Suspect by Benjamin Stevenson, I think. It's really hard to remember book titles and author names. But anyway, those are books I hope to read this summer, and I'm really excited. I think that is a great list and books that I really actually do want to read, so hopefully I will read as many of them as I can. And of course, I'd love to hear what books are on your summer TBR, or if you're just kind of going by whatever mood you're in. And let me know if you've read any of these books, or if you want to buddy read any of them with me. I'm happy to do that. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye!